Ever notice how the first few minutes of your morning can really set the tone for everything? Whether it's your first sip of coffee or that perfectly curated playlist to wake up to, those early moments, they matter. And guess what? Your classroom works the same way. In this episode, we're talking about why those first moments with your students are the most powerful ones of the day, and I'm going to walk you through 3 simple strategies that will help your mornings run smoother and make your classroom a place where calm, connection, and focus reigns supreme. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome to Enjoy Teaching Again, the podcast for teachers who love the work but need a little spark to bring the joy back. I'm your host, Elizabeth Peterson, classroom teacher, arts integration specialist, and passionate educator of over 25 years. If you're overwhelmed by behaviors, disengaged students, and long, exhausting days, you are not alone. But together, we can turn things around and you can teach with confidence and purpose again. So locate that cold coffee of yours, find your favorite pen, I know you have one, and let's dive in. It's time to get inspired and enjoy teaching again. Today, I want to share with you a review from Apple Podcast from Beth. She says, as a creative person who loves the arts and music, I appreciate Elizabeth's heart to inspire teachers to incorporate creativity into the classroom. As she says, creativity and arts build community, help students become self-aware and able to regulate emotions, and provide space for students to engage fully in learning. She is a skilled and knowledgeable teacher who inspires tired teachers to come alive again with enthusiasm, joy, and connection. This podcast is a jewel. Come on in and be inspired. Beth, thank you so much for all those wonderful words of encouragement. I'm so glad that you see the value in what I'm doing here on this podcast, really trying to bring creativity and the arts and, you know what? Teacher enjoyment back to the game of this wonderful thing we call teaching. If you have a moment to check out Beth's podcast, which is called Heal Depression with God, please go ahead and check her out as well. And thanks again, Beth, for your wonderful review. If you want to leave me a review, that would mean the world to me. Go ahead and scroll down and click that purple line that says write a review. I would love to hear what you think of the podcast. Now, let's be real. Some days it feels like the minute students walk in, chaos can begin, right? You're still shuffling some papers for today's lesson, and then boom, Johnny's crying, Sarah's tattling, and your patience seems to be flying out the window. Let me tell you, I have been there. But I also know that a few simple shifts at the very beginning of the day or the very beginning of your class period can change everything. That's why in the first wave of SEAL, Social Emotional Artistic Learning, we work on a module of Establish, because setting the tone in your classroom and creating a classroom culture of calm and routine is the secret to keeping your students regulated and, let's face it, keeping your sanity. Now, years ago, I realized that my mornings were setting me and my students up for a failure. I was rushing around, they were floundering a bit, and things just weren't working. You know what I mean? And then I started to really implement a few things into my morning. A soft start activity and a hello at the door, and the difference was like switching from static to a symphony. All right, well, maybe it wasn't a symphony every single day, but it certainly helped when I started to really think about how my students entered my classroom. Now, this school year, my role has changed in my school. I went from a general classroom teacher who has the same 25 students all day to being one of the specialists at my school. Now I see 4 different classes a day. And in my role, I'm teaching what I love as I integrate the arts with what the students are learning in their core content, all while being able to really focus in on their social emotional skills. But in some ways, I was finding it very difficult and frustrating to welcome a new class into my room each and every hour. So I took a pause and I went back to these very 3 things that I'm going to share with you. And let me tell you, it made a world of difference very, very quickly. The first strategy I want to share with you is using a soft start. A soft start is a simple activity that you can give your students as they enter your classroom. It needs to be something that is totally independent and the kids can just really do it all on their own. Think of something like journaling when the students come in. Have a prompt like that's on the board that they can answer. They could come in and do some silent reading or even a coloring page. And by the way, my new favorite way to give out coloring pages is to take 2 copies of a coloring page and put them through the copier so that they go 2 pages on one, so that each of the coloring pages is actually set at 50%. This really does help with coloring pages because the kids, it's not super big. It's something that they can do in a shorter amount of time, and it also wastes less paper. And for some reason, it just has made a really big difference for students who want to do a coloring page and kind of make it happen pretty quickly. Another idea for a soft start is to have some small Ziploc bags of blocks or even some fraction bars or Unifix cubes that kids can just easily use and then put away when the time is up. What soft starts do is give your students a gentle way to transition into their day and into your classroom. My absolute favorite soft start is some papers that I like to use. I'll tell you about them, and I'll actually put a link to these little doodle papers that I love using. It's such a great creative way to get kids into your classroom, get them doing something creative and fun, and get them to transition into the next part of their day. I love using these because they are quarter-sized papers with just a little squiggle on them for students to then take and transform into something. So just imagine a small quarter-sized piece of paper with like a little chicken scratch or a little squirrely doodle, right? And then the kids take that doodle and make it into something. I've been using these for the last few months with my 3rd and 4th and 5th graders, and they honestly don't get old. Even if I have to give them the same little squiggle, they're always making them into something unique. It's really been so much fun. Now, what I especially like about using a soft start to our class time is that it really helps me to settle in too. I can walk around the classroom, I can check in with certain kids, I can see what they're doing, see what they're working on, maybe even start a little conversation. And by the way, if you're interested in learning more about how you can start a conversation, I want you to check out episode number 49. This time when your students are doing a soft start in your classroom to get themselves ready for learning is the perfect time to start one of those relationship building conversations. So go check out number 49. I'll link it down in the show notes as well. What this also allows me to do is for me to get myself together. Sometimes I need to get my papers together, or sometimes you know how you just like leave a set of papers somewhere and then you're looking for them. I can get myself organized. I can make sure that my speakers are working and they're in the right place, whatever I need. So soft starts are so handy and they work so well, not just for students, but also for you too. Now, before we get into number 2, I'm curious, are you an insider yet? Are you an insider to the Inspired Classroom? Because if not, I want you to get on our insider list. It's super easy to do and completely free. Just go to theinspiredclassroom.com/insider and you'll get on our insider list where you will get weekly newsletters that are full of bite-sized inspiration, creative SEL tips, and behind-the-scenes peeks at what's going on. And let me just tell you, there are some big things going on. So I want you to be in the know and be on the inside. So get on our insider list at theinspiredclassroom.com/insider. All right, let's move on to number 2. And number 2 is about routines, because the trick to a good morning and establishing a caring classroom culture is having predictable routines. Now, you probably already know this, right? But let's think about this for a moment and how we can really make sure that our routines are tightened up a little bit, okay? Kids, and honestly, we adults too, we thrive on routine. In our classrooms, we can start with the same calm tone, the same opening activity, like what I do with my soft starts, the same welcome. That idea and that feeling of predictability equals safety to so many students. They want to be able to know what's coming up. And with that, know that they're going to be okay. For me, that means I greet my students at the door and I'm handing them one of their soft start doodles, having them enter to some calming music as they settle into their seats. And when they come to my class, they know what to expect. For you, it might mean students are walking in, putting their backpacks away, getting out their materials, putting their homework in a certain spot, settling at their desks, getting their journal out to respond to a prompt that's on the board or something while they wait for the pledge and the announcements. Routines become predictable, and predictability can just calm everybody into a place where they can really just put their best effort forward. Now, the trick to establishing a good classroom culture is this third thing I want to talk about, and that is creating a welcoming vibe. Now, my guess is that you do this, and I want you to consider how you can do it even more, right? Maybe you already greet your students at the door. Well, can you greet them with their names? Can you start a little conversation with a couple of them? Maybe you like to set up a calming corner, or you have nice things around your classroom that just kind of give it that warm, welcoming feel, that warm, welcoming vibe. Maybe you like to play music when your students come in. And if you want to know more about how to use music in your classroom to soundtrack your room, go ahead and check out episode 50, where I go over the 6 easy steps to making that type of background music a real success in your classroom. You see, when students feel seen and safe from the moment they arrive, everything else starts to fall into place. Now, you may already greet them, right? Well, try it with a little bit more intention tomorrow. Maybe you add in some music. Remember, check out episode 50. Maybe you pick a couple of students to start a conversation with. Check out episode 49 about that. And I'm going to get real with you now, okay? So take a breath. This one may actually sting a little, okay? But we all need to do these check-ins so often, myself included. Now, part of this welcoming vibe is the expression on your face and your body language, okay? Remember, you are the most important part of your classroom. It's not the decor. It's not the music. It's you. You are the one that really sets the tone of your classroom. And you do so with your body language, with your facial expressions. And so I want you to think for a moment, and I'll do the same right now because I have my days, right? You are not alone in having to take a moment to reflect on this, right? So think about, what are you doing with your body language? Are you rushing around like crazy before your kids come in? How about, do you have like a lack of impatience or maybe some frustration as your students are coming in? Or are you calm and smiling as you greet them at the door? Now, don't get me wrong, we all have our off days, but take this moment to just reflect on the tone that you set inside your own classroom. Trust me, I speak from experience, okay? I've had many days when I haven't felt ready to receive the students into my classroom, and my disheveled vibe makes for a very unsettling class. Over the years, I've learned to intentionally make a conscious effort to be in the best mindset I can be before my students come in. And sometimes that means actually taking a second, finishing a conversation with a colleague, because sometimes that can, give you an interesting facial expression. Let's be real here. I take a deep breath and I remind myself of the type of atmosphere and culture that I really do want to cultivate in my class. And now I train my students to wait at the entrance of my classroom so that I can make sure that I am ready. I'm ready. I have my papers in place. I, have moved a desk or whatever I need so that the classroom is ready for my students to come in. And I stand at the entrance and I welcome them with a smile, a routine, and that soft start doodle. All these things really work together to create a great transition into the classroom. You establish predictable routines that welcome your students into your classroom and get them started on something simple, a soft start that helps them to transition into their learning. You see, it's often these little things that actually make the biggest difference in both overall student behavior and our enjoyment in teaching. They don't require a huge overhaul, just a little extra intention. So I want you to try one of these strategies tomorrow or your next school day, just one. And that could literally be that you take a breath and you smile for your kids as they enter the room. Or you can print out a simple coloring page. You remember, do them at 50%. It makes it a little bit more doable for a morning soft start, and have them do that at their desk when they enter. This is one of those things that you get to control in your own classroom. You get to set the tone before the chaos can creep in, and just see how your day can shift. Then come share your experience with me and other educators inside our Inspiring Teachers Facebook group. We would love to cheer you on. Listen, calm in the classroom doesn't happen by accident. It starts with these small, intentional, creative strategies. You deserve a classroom where you enjoy your teaching. So let's do this. I hope this episode inspired you, encouraged you, or gave you a fresh idea to try. And if so, I would love for you to take a screenshot and text it to one of your teaching buddies. I'm so grateful that you landed here with me today, and it would mean the world to me if you would leave me a review over on Apple Podcast. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode. This is Elizabeth Peterson reminding you to get inspired so you can be inspiring to your students and enjoy teaching again.